What up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Pop Talk. We're a few guys short for this episode, but we're gonna hold it down regardless. I'm Boston Jared. That's Casual Rand, and we're gonna get right into it, man. We're gonna get right into it because we got quite a few things to discuss. At least for us, we don't do 10-hour shows like some of these other cats out here. We got other shit to do. We're gonna get right into it, man. Before we start, don't forget, hit like and subscribe. So what first thing we said we was going to talk about was this Shakur, the SANDMAN Stevenson. Instead of Sugar Shakur, we gonna call this nigga the Sandman.
Man, he literally put me to sleep, man. I fell asleep during that fight. I woke up, man, the credits were running and everything, man.
And everybody else, man. I felt bad. I was running around telling motherfuckers to don't forget Shakur on tonight. Don't forget Shakur. ESPN it's on Thursday night. I had to send people text messages the next day apologizing to them. But I felt so bad. People stayed up and watched that fight.
It was bad all the way around.
The main event didn't come on till what, like 12 o'clock?
Yeah, about that. Man. It was bad. You know what I'm saying? And the reason I say it's bad, not only what the fight sense. I guess ESPN and Top Rank was trying to explore and like try to put it on that Thursday because they had the Grand Prix in Vegas on the weekend. And if it was an exciting fight and if it was a successful, exciting fight, they would have started putting boxing on different days or start experimenting. But I think Shakur might have killed all of that shit.
Well, the article that I saw, so Bad Left Hook had an interview with Bob Arum the morning of the fight. And what Bob Arum has said was basically that ESPN had asked them to put the show on a Thursday night. Hold on one. My fault. This dog knocking this damn thing around. What's it called? So the network had asked Bob Arum and them to put that fight on Thursday night. Yes, because of the Formula One, but also because they're this is, and you got NBA going on. I don't know if NHL is still on ESPN, but you've got college football. I don't know if NFL football is on ESPN anymore. But the point is, this fight kind of goes to show you where ESPN falls, where boxing falls in the pecking order for ESPN. Shakur Stevenson made $4 million for that fight.
That's a lot for that fight.
$4 million. Now, it was a title fight. But for a kid who's got very, very minimal cachet, I mean, this is not the first time he's fought outside Newark, but I think one of the few times where he's headlined outside of Newark, man, and that's a big ask. That was a big ask of him to go out to Vegas and headline on a Thursday night and had to compete against Bengals, Ravens, and the NBA in-season tournament that they got going on. That was a big ask, man. And in our community, Randy, that's a saying where they say, set you up for success, set you up for failure. I really feel like ESPN set Shakur Stevenson up for failure with that.
I don't understand Thursday. Maybe Friday. You remember the boxing used to have the Friday night fights?
Nah, but you got college football on Friday.
But college football ain't. No, not really. It's
what you mean?
It's the smaller teams. College got Saturdays, NFL got Thursdays and Sundays and Mondays. So the sweet spot would have been Friday. But
don't you have NBA on Friday on ESPN too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They ain't bumping no NBA basketball for Shakur Stevenson, Edward De Los Santos, man. So what did you do? I know you said you fell asleep. You ain't even watched it.
I literally fell asleep during the fight.
Oh man.
I went back and watched the highlights and everything, but you know what I'm saying? It just every round looked the same. So
it was rough, man. After about the second or third round, it looked like Shakur Stevenson had got his timing down. He caught Edwin De Los Santos coming in. He caught him with a jab on the way in and popped De Los Santos' head back. And after that, Edwin De Los Santos did something that I really thought, something I expected him not to do. I expected Edwin De Los Santos to go into this fight and fight like he had nothing to lose, because he really did have nothing to lose, right? This guy was the third, maybe even if you really want to look at it, the fourth option for this guy, right? I mean, the WBC had mandated Pitbull. Pitbull made excuses and ducked. They wanted to get a Devin Haney fight going. That fight fell apart for whatever the fuck reason, percentages, negotiated, whatever. They went down to Frank Martin. Frank Martin had agreed to fight, and Frank Martin pulls out because of money. This guy was their fourth pick. Edwin De Los Santos is a guy that's 16-1. Go out there and fight. Now, I will say this. I put more of an onus on Shakur Stevenson to go out there and make the fight happen, because he's the guy with all the accolades. He's the guy with all the acclaim, multiple division champ, blah, blah, blah. But it does take two to tango. And Edwin De Los Santos didn't sell out in this fight. He didn't sell out in this fight, and neither did Shakur. Neither did Shakur, to be clear, before people get in the comments and say I'm making excuses for Shakur. But neither guy sold out. Neither guy sold out. And you got a horrendous fight. So let me ask you this. What do you think? Where do you think Shakur goes from here? And we'll start with that. Where do you think Shakur goes from here?
It's going to be hard for him. It's definitely going to be hard. But he is a champion now. But that still doesn't mean that people are will be willing to take that chance, because he's a great fighter, a great defensive fighter. But it's hard. So it's going to be high risk, low reward for any opponent to fight Shakur. He's setting up to be Rigondeaux. Great fighter that nobody's gonna want to fight, because
nobody's gonna want to fight. Now,
so, and I think Bob Arum sees that. Bob Arum sees that he has another Rigondeaux on his hand, and I don't because what kind of promotion are you gonna pump into him when he's putting people to sleep? And then when you put, if I was a promoter, I would want to see like maybe Isak Cruz go against him, because Isak is a come forward. But Shakur shows that he's going to jab and just keep stepping, like take 2-3 steps back and not get hit. So that's going to be a boring ass fight.
But what about, so my thing is this, and I heard the different YouTube personalities going back and forth on this throughout, starting on pretty much last Friday, right? To me, styles make fights, obviously. If you look at Shakur's last couple of fights, you look at the Yoshino fight and whatever the fight was before that. I'm not sure if it was Jamel Herring or if it was Oscar Valdez. I'm not sure. Point I'm trying to make is those fights were much more fan-friendly fights. The Yoshino fight was a very entertaining fight. He stood there with him. He traded. He wasn't nearly as mobile, and he knocked the guy out in like 5 or 6 rounds. So my thing is, if you look at it objectively, you can't hang this one performance over this kid's head like he's been fighting like that for the last 21 fights, because he hasn't. I mean, he's gone out there and he's put on good shows before. I think he said in one of his tweets, like, one fight don't break me. And I think going forward, Brad Goodman over there at ESPN was one of the matchmakers, Bob Arum. I don't think it'd be irresponsible of them to look at this one fight and weigh that above all the other fights that is he exciting? He's putting
he
can be. Oh no, that's 2 different questions.
Yeah,
that's 2 different. But that's 3 different questions.
I understand that. And he has the ability to be a standstill, give it to you fighter. But I think he'll show his naturally he's going to show his defensive side, and I don't think that's going to cause people to divest in his stock.
You saying regardless of opponent? or when
regardless of opponent. I mean, right now he's just not. And it's sad to say that Haney, he's making Haney's stock look way brighter than his.
Well, Haney has also been in there with higher level guys, with bigger name guys, right? I mean, being in there
I'm just talking about just his style of fighting and his just the person. And yes, I do agree that Haney has fought better opponents or better named opponents. But his style, I say Haney's style is more. I'm willing to mix it up more than Shakur, which shouldn't be a bad thing in boxing. Boxing is about to hit and not be hit. But as a casual fan, you know what I'm saying? Casual fans ain't gonna be, look, all right, he's slipping, he's stepping back, the dude's swinging and miss. That's not gonna excite anybody.
Nah, it's definitely not. I agree with you. I agree with you. And I have this discussion all the times with people, because people conflate how good somebody is as a fighter with how popular they are and how many tickets they sell and how many pay-per-views. And I'm like, whoa. Those are all four very, very different things. There are plenty of guys out there who are very, very good boxers. Yes. Might not necessarily be the most marketable, and which affects their popularity adversely and all those things. So and that's the issue I have. People running around.
Yeah, that's exactly why I started this with saying trash. He's the next Rigondeaux, because to me, Rigondeaux was an excellent fighter.
Yeah, Prime Rigo is one of the best fighters I've ever seen.
But he was just not marketable.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. And the other thing with Rigo, though, Rigo did not speak English either, which was another thing. Which
Canelo didn't speak English for a long time.
But Canelo is a white Mexican. He's got a whole country behind him, and that's that Canelo has a lot of advantages.
I agree with you, but I'll just play.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. But my biggest disappointment in this fight was that I was of the opinion that if this kid went into this fight and performed well, I didn't necessarily think. I picked him to stop De Los Santos, but if he had gone in there and fought a better fight, I think that he would have been able to get a fight with Lomachenko, pay-per-view fight with Vasyl Lomachenko in the spring.
Oh, yes. And not only did the fight was born, he didn't even try to take him out. You know what I'm saying? It was never like
no, it was right. It was never
on the gas and let me test this dude's chin.
Now, after that performance, I don't think he has any shot. ESPN, if you're Lomachenko's people, right, and you were probably reluctant to fight Shakur anyway, given the fact that they've sparred before, Shakur, I think, is pretty familiar with Lomachenko. Now, the Lomachenko people have every reason to go to ESPN, Bob Arum, and be like, it doesn't make any sense to make this fight. We're not fighting this kid. Like, what if he reverts back to that in a pay-per-view fight? Yeah. There'll be a revolt. People will be asking for their money back, all kind of wild shit, man. He really, really, really has taken several steps back with that performance. Not as a fighter, but as a brand. I want to make sure that's clear. Because the guys
exactly where I think where this conversation was going. Yeah. Like, I think Bob Arum was setting him up to be a face of Top Rank, but now you can't bring him there right now, based off that last performance.
Yeah, no.
So now he probably have to do another two. It probably set him back like 2 fights.
At least 2 fights. And in this boxing ecosystem that we exist in today, 2 fights, that could be 2 years from now, realistically. Now, the people over at Top Rank, the Top Rank guys are a little bit more active than, the PBC guys. I'm not sure how it aligns up with Matchroom guys. But, Shakur has been pretty active. I know that William Zepeda had called him out. Prior to this fight, Zepeda had talked about fighting Stevenson. Zepeda, if it's the guy that I'm thinking of, is stylistically a much, much better fight for Shakur Stevenson. He's not going to be in and out the way that De Los Santos was. I think that William Zepeda in the
So
spring.
Now we're going back to, if I was Bob Arum, now I'm thinking that you Bud Crawford in me again. You know what I'm saying?
Well, in
So
what
now,
sense?
So now, like, Stevenson gonna want another $5 million to fight a number 5 ranked Zepeda.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
it's an interesting
So
point.
that we're going back to that's what I'm saying. It's going back to the Bud Crawford, Bob Arum argument back 4 or 5 years ago. Why Bob let Bud go, because you wanted the money, but you wasn't putting asses in seats, and we wasn't selling tickets. So does Shakur step back down and be like, since I'm not fighting these, I'll take a $900,000 fight? I don't think his ego's going to do that.
The 3-division champ. Now, I will say this, and you bring up a very, very good point. However, the other side to that argument is this. If you're Jay Prince and the guys who represent Shakur, and that gets brought up during negotiations, my position is this. Hey, he was injured, one, which seems to be trending. It seems to be accurate that he was injured, one. Two, you made us fight on a Thursday night. So if you want to talk metrics, views, asses and seats and all that, don't put us on a Thursday night. And you made us fight in Las Vegas, where, you know, that's the complete opposite side of the country. This guy had been headlining in Newark, New Jersey, his last few major fights. And all of those things, I think, factor into his marketability and his profitability if you're Bob Arum. So those things, you can't just brush those things aside, right?
You can't. So, but it's needless to say, he has some work to do.
Work to do? You talking about in the gym, or
no,
as far as marketing?
As far as
building his brand back
it's
up.
all about marketing, and people want to argue about, no, man, it's about the fight. Man, this is prize fighting. The first word is prize. So you know what I'm saying? It's about your money. So he's messing up his money right now.
So who you think? Who do we got here? I think Frank Martin.
I think he's not. I don't think he's gonna have a great fight until this mess gets cleaned. This division get kind of cleaned up. Like, I don't think Lomachenko is going to step to him right now, but Lomachenko is going to have to fight within the next year. He's not going to sit on the shelf for 2 years. So I think Lomachenko is a better fight for Tank.
Yeah, and I think that he has the perfect opportunity. What a great opportunity for a guy like Tank. Do you see that happening? Do you see PBC? Because PBC still don't have no network, right? Do you see PBC letting Tank go over to ESPN and fight? It's a huge opportunity.
I do see it, because you've seen PBC fighters fight on other networks before, and especially if you don't have a home network, you know what I'm saying, then what are you going to do with these guys? So if you want to continue being a boxing management conglomerate, you're gonna have to let them fight somewhere, because you know the Showtime's done as a
Showtime is done,
non-pay-per-view entity. So yeah, he's gonna have to clean. Like, is Devin Haney coming back to 135? He said
I do not think that we will see Devin Haney fight at 135 ever.
Yeah, again. So those belts going to be coming, and Shakur's not on none of those. Well, you can't be it as a champion. No, he wasn't a champion then. He was number 1 in the WBC as of last week.
Who you talking about?
Shakur. He's a WBC. He was on the WBC.
Well, he's the WBC champ now. He's
the WBC champ, but I don't see the IBF or WBO letting him fight for their belts once Devin Haney vacates.
Well, interesting you bring that up, because it looks like Loma is going to get this Kambosos fight. And if the IBF continues on this streak of putting the proverbial gun to the back of people's heads and making them make a decision, I think after this Prograis fight, win, lose, or draw, you're going to see Devin Haney vacate that IBF. And sometime late in the winter, you will probably see George Kambosos versus Vasyl Lomachenko
that makes sense
for the vacant IBF belt is what you will probably see.
And okay,
and
so
Lomachenko will smoke Kambosos.
Yeah, if we see that, then you're gonna see the Tank Isak rematch at the WBA.
Man, Tank Isak Cruz is number one, but if I'm Frank Martin, I want I don't know, man. It's gonna get interesting. If Devin Haney vacates that WBA, you'll see Gervonta get elevated. He'll become the real champ.
Yeah.
And then, Isak Cruz is in that number one position in the WBA.
And then even you know what I'm saying, if everybody complained about Tank hasn't fought anybody. If at this point in the game, I wouldn't sign Shakur as my next opponent either.
Oh no, hell no! I mean, Tank was going to steer clear of him anyway, and now he's got the perfect excuse. Him and his team have the perfect excuse to not fight him. So you're not going to see that. Yeah, sucks for Shakur, man. So I think we see Zepeda next. I think Zepeda, again, stylistically is going to be tailor-made for a guy like Shakur, and it's going to be a good fight for Shakur, almost like a showcase fight where he's going to get put on a good show and hopefully washes the taste of his last performance out of the mind of both his supporters and his detractors. So with that, unless you got anything else, Rand, I think we're going to bounce to our next subject here.
All right.